I wish I lived in a bungalow, one floor is enough for me. I wish I lived in a bungalow, no upstairs for me, don't you see? It's ever so static, I'd feel so ecstatic, and going upstairs only leads to the attic. I wish I lived in a bungalow, one floor is enough for me. I wish I lived in a bungalow, my God, it would be the best. People would visit my bungalow and ask, hey, where's the rest? People would call, they'd stand in the hall, they'd look around and say, is that all? I wish I lived in a bungalow, one floor is enough for me. I wish I lived in a bungalow, though people would think I was odd, saying he lives in a bungalow, he's really a miserable sod. I'd have no cares, I'd ignore their glares, there is no cupboard under the stairs. I wish I lived in a bungalow, or perhaps a ground floor flat. I wish I lived in a bungalow, my bedroom down the hall. Would I get bored of my bungalow? No, not a chance, not at all. It's what I adore, I'd be thrilled to the core. My plan only has one major flaw. I wish I lived in a bungalow and sleep closer to planet Earth. I wish I lived in a bungalow, imagine the plaudits and glory. Like the Star Wars franchise, the place only has the one story. It's what I do without much ado, the downstairs loo is just called the loo. I wish I lived in a bungalow, also I'm ever so lonely. I wish I lived in a bungalow, my life would be a ballet. I wish I lived in a bungalow, or possibly a chalet. There's nothing I'd lack, a garden out back, the vibe it gives off is that of a shack. I wish I lived in a bungalow, one floor is enough for me. I wish I lived in a bungalow, you try it, you can't go back. I wish I lived in a bungalow, perhaps in a cul-de-sac. It's made out of brick, I get such a kick. You can keep your stares, they're making me sick. I wish I lived in a bungalow with Darren from the coffee shop. I wish I lived in a bungalow, it's something I'll always regret. Nothing better than a bungalow, you can keep your maisonette. That's my intent, the hours I spent. It's one step away from being a tent. It wouldn't be far, you can visit by car. You can come right in, the door is ajar. I'd make my stamp by a standard lamp. You'll have to admit it's kind of camp. I wish I lived in a bungalow. I wish I lived in a bungalow. I wish I lived in a bungalow. One floor is enough for me. Thank you.